Hey guys, welcome to a brand new YouTube video. Today, I'm really excited to make this video because I feel like it's a long time coming, and all of you who have been watching me the last few months, it's been very apparent that I have been making a huge shift in my mentality, in my physique, and just overall who I am. How training has helped me mentally and how I cope with anxiety and how I'm able to kind of just train for my mindset and train mentally. The whole pandemic in general, I think it kind of brought back a very familiar feeling for me, and that is anxiety. So if you have followed me for the long run, like been with me since I started this channel, I used to talk about my anxiety all the time. I had training, like going to the gym, as an outlet, and that was like the only thing that was keeping me like sane and keeping me myself, because it was freedom of expression. It was a way for me to express myself and get my emotions out and somehow just get those feelings out. I noticed that right when this pandemic started, when the lockdown started, I felt those feelings come up again, and I was like, oh my God, like I hadn't felt anxiety for a very long time. But when the pandemic started, my anxiety shot through the roof. The gym's closed, and me being somebody who relies on the gym and relies on training to express myself and feel at home, that also made me very anxious, because I was like, okay, well, the one thing that I go to feel better is gone. This is when I started getting really into the whole basis of why I fell in love with training. And I started doing my home workouts, because I have a few dumbbells at home, I have a treadmill, I have bands. I've got like very minimal equipment, but what I was able to do throughout this quarantine, I am like shocked by it. I was able to fall in love with the fundamentals of training again with minimal equipment. And I was able to transform myself mentally and physically in this whole process of being in a lockdown, having minimal equipment, and not really being able to leave the house. I was able to fall back in love with training and fall back in love with myself and become mentally and physically stronger throughout a global pandemic. I needed self-love, and to me, self-love is self-discipline. So if I can master myself, I can master anything, and that definitely helped with my anxiety. So it's kind of like that self-discipline aspect is how I cope with things, is how I deal with things. So obviously with the gyms closing, that would be a very big issue. I started doing these home workouts. I started using what I had to the best of my abilities. I stopped training with the goal to change myself, and I started training with the goal to just train, to just do it, because ultimately that is what I had fallen in love with. I'd fallen in love with training itself. I wasn't necessarily concerned about, you know, losing weight or progress. I was just obsessed and in love with training and the fact that I could move weights and be strong and do all of those things. Like, that is why I fell in love with training. I think the lockdown, by giving me those feelings of anxiety, I resorted back to what I know best and what was comfortable for me, and that is self-discipline and training for my mindset. So throughout the quarantine, I have been doing these home workouts. I've been doing cardio every morning, and I've noticed that, you know, week by week, I'm a little bit happier. I'm a little bit more vibrant. I'm a little bit more myself. I don't think that you start off with motivation. I think that you start off with discipline, and then you make progress, and then comes the motivation. It was the discipline, that discipline and that self-love that got me to take my pre-workout, put my shoes on, get in that room, headphones on, and just train. Because I knew that the training was gonna bring me that sense of peace and that sense of discipline and self-love, and it would give me what I need during this time. When I wake up in the morning, I get dressed, and I immediately go on my treadmill. And what that does for me is that sets the tone for the rest of my day. So if I start my day with physical activity, I get my heart rate up, I have that focus that me time, that self-discipline and self-love, I feel like for the rest of my day, I am just way more proactive. Like I am just more fulfilled in the rest of my day. I'm more positive, get more things done because I had that time in the morning for myself. I got up half an hour earlier so I could get on the treadmill and do something good for myself that I will appreciate later. Throughout the quarantine, I was realizing that the cardio wasn't even for losing weight anymore. It was for my mindset. It was for my mentality. It was putting me in such a good headspace right at the beginning of the day because I was doing this one thing for myself. Like I was putting me first right at the beginning of the day. When you're training, you reach a point where obviously it hurts and you're gonna reach failure and you have a decision. You can either stop or you can keep going. And the decision to keep going is where you become mentally stronger. I take these aspects that I have learned during my own development and my own training and I apply them to situations and scenarios in other aspects of my life. When my dad passed away, I learned from training that when something hurts and when something is causing you pain, you can either choose to give up or you can choose to keep going. If I had chosen to give up when my dad died, I would not be where I am now. I would not be a professional athlete. I would not have the platform that I have now, and I would not have the relationships, and just I would not be me. I'm a very strong girl and I know that I want to make my dad proud. So when I apply that to my life, when something hurts me or when something's causing me pain, I don't give up, I keep going. It's actually incredible the amount of things you can do with such minimal equipment. I was blown away. I post workout videos on my Instagram all the time now, and I'm even still like blown away with how many exercises I can come up with and just the progress I've made throughout this entire thing. I think it just goes to show that no matter what your circumstance is or no matter what situation you are in, you can always move forward and you can always make progress. I think that's one of the biggest aspects about being an athlete is you continue training when nobody's watching. You do it because you love it. I remember in a really old YouTube video, I was talking about strength and I was talking about how strength isn't necessarily the amount of weight you can lift, but it's the amount of times you can lift yourself back up after you've been knocked down. I said those words when I was like 15 or 16 years old, you know, before life really hit me, before I lost my dad, before I lost half my family, and those words still to this day mean everything to me because it's so true. Strength is not about how much weight you can lift in the gym. Strength is about how you are able to lift yourself when you are at your lowest. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I feel like I kind of just rambled on for a bit. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.